it's like I can be my own banker and I can hold the keys for my dollar account. And then in case anything goes wrong in Brazil and I have to leave Brazil, well, I don't have to transfer money. I have the money in my hands, in my control.
Who are you and what do you do in the Bitcoin industry?
I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, we have a company that we are focused in exchange reais with USDT. So there is a few companies outside of Brazil that their users, they want to come to Brazil and they want to do payments straight from their bank account. So basically, I'm going to give an example, like clients from users from Argentina, which they travel a lot to Brazil. From their bank app, they are able to pay anything in Brazil. And then the reason is because Brazil has a payment system called Pix. It's a 24/7 made by the Brazilian Central Bank. So it's easy to do payment. What my company did in Brazil, we integrate USDT is straight on that system, not just USDT, but also Bitcoin. But USDT is 95% used in Brazil. So then we integrated USDT, the blockchain, with what we call bank chain. So basically we use USDT as a bridge between those two islands, the blockchain island and the bank chain island, and it's connected. So foreigners that they go to Brazil now, they have access straight to the financial system through this bridge. Or even if they want to withdraw cash, they can go to 24,000 ATM machines in Brazil, which is the traditional financial system. It's not something, oh, it's a Bitcoin machine. No, it's just a normal one. And then we just connected that straight. So now foreigners can go there, spend the money, easy way, using USDT. You don't have to carry on cash because the whole Brazil you can pay with Pix. And also the other cool stuff is if they download our application, our wallet application, which only has three cryptocurrencies there, which is a virtual, is a stable coin pegged with reais, USDT, well, everybody knows USDT, and Bitcoin. So even if the foreigner download our wallet, he can also receive money, he can receive reais from a Brazilian, straight from the bank account. And then he can pick in each one he wants to convert the reais. So it's so easy to do that. And that is helping people in Argentina, people in Venezuela, people in Paraguay. There is a lot of stores in Argentina accepting Pix because they use our technology to convert Pix, to convert reais into USDT straight in Argentina. So if you just have a look on this technology, what the technology is doing, someone from Brazil went all the way to Argentina and used his bank app to pay a bottle of wine in Mendoza, Argentina. And the merchant in Argentina is receiving USDT within 8 seconds. And the Brazilian has no hassle, no pay extra fees for the transaction, is coming straight from his bank account. So what we do in Brazil, we make sure we can connect people with the financial system.
What is happening in Brazil in terms of Bitcoin and stablecoins adoption?
Well, Brazil is the largest economy in Latin America, and Brazil, we start to use a lot Bitcoin. People started to see Bitcoin. I think because a few guys like me and my company, we start to talk about Bitcoin when we were mining back in the day, back in 2014. So the crypto economy in Brazil start big in Bitcoin, a little bit of Ethereum, but then when the USDT thing came, the Brazilians started to see USDT as a way of financial integration or financial inclusion. And then if you have a look on the market today in Brazil, what happened is the majority of people in Brazil, now they are learning more and more about Bitcoin, but they are learning about Bitcoin to buy overseas, not to buy inside Brazil. So they are using foreign exchange to do that. That is one public. The other public that they do related to cryptocurrency, they are based on some DEX. They are buying some other coins that they think is going to be something. And then you have the other public, like I would say probably guys over 6 years old, which they are already starting to buying ETFs, which most of people are like, oh man, but that's not Bitcoin. Okay, but at least they are getting involved. That is going to be the path for them to say, okay, Now, why I'm buying the ETF when I could buy straight the Bitcoin and hold in our wallet? The problem that we have in Brazil is still, I think, is the most of everybody, is education. When we have to tell them how exactly the Bitcoin, to store the keys, to store the 12 words or 24 words, all the applications is so complicated and it's very difficult. Now, at least with Truther, our wallet app, they are getting more and more used to it because we mix it up inside crypto and banking facilities. So now the user is feeling a little bit more comfortable, but it's still a big problem to tell them how to store the keys, how to make sure, even if what happened if he lost the keys, what happened if he's not here anymore, let's say he's passed away or some accident happened, who he was going to tell, how he was going to tell. So this is still a problem. But there is one good point in Brazil that is very, very nice, is the usage of USDT. Brazil today is, in a monthly basis, is doing around $4 billion in USDT every single month, transacting that. When compared to Bitcoin, Bitcoin, I would say, is probably like 300 million or something like that, very close to that. And then USDT is huge. But the funny thing on that, most people are like, oh, they are buying to trade. No, most of people, they buy USDT to pay for goods, import, export, as a way of protection. But not the majority is not to trade. Few people are buying buying Bitcoin for sure to save, but the majority in Brazil, it's using USDT to remittance, to pay bills, to send money to relatives outside Brazil, or even to receive from outside Brazil. So the crypto economy in Brazil, people could think, yeah, Brazil is booming in Bitcoin. No, Brazil is booming in USDT. But yeah, for some people are going to use to buy Bitcoin overseas. But the cool about it is USDT has given the opportunity to a bunch of foreigners in Brazil also to be integrated, to be included on the financial system. Because people may not know, for you to open a bank account in Brazil, you need to be Brazilian, or you have to get a citizenship, or you need to apply for. And then normally for you to get your Brazilian ID, if you are a foreigner, it's average 3 years to get one. So I don't think some foreigners that is going to live in Brazil, even someone that say, okay, is leaving from Russia because they don't want to be in the middle of the war, and then they got in Brazil to be a safe haven, and then they just realize they are in hell because they cannot get a bank account, they cannot rent a house because they don't have an ID, they have no way to pay, they have no way to send money from overseas to Brazil. So at least now, USDT is saving these people to actually have a better life in Brazil.
Why are Brazilians choosing to use USDT?
Well, especially in Brazil, I think we have, I would say probably now, 40% of the population, it's really, really, really poor. And then you have a little bit more. So because it's a poor population, they're more on left wing, right? And these people, they are living because the government are paying them a salary every month just because they are poor. But and then you have the other 60% saying, I don't trust on these guys. I don't trust on the politician. I don't trust on the way the economy is being handled. I need some protection. Now, these guys said, okay, what is the fastest protection? Because they don't want to leave the money in the bank. They don't want to send money from Brazil overseas is a nightmare. Even let's say if I have an accountant here in Switzerland, for me to send money from Brazil to my personal account in Brazil, to my personal account in Switzerland is a nightmare. I have to fill out so many forms, and I have to prove so many things, and then so expensive also to do. So I think most of people, the reason that they are using USDT is for protection, and they don't trust in how the reais are doing. Just for you guys know, like this month, October, it's the dollar fluctuation to accord to reais has been already 6%. So imagine now, the price of dollar is 6% more from the 1st of October. So it's a huge difference. So how can someone say, I prefer to stay in reais? Well, today I can buy food for 100 reais. Tomorrow I need 106 to buy the same food, right? So it's very complicated, this thing. So people are getting on that one. And then the other thing is people are getting on USDT, especially because now they realize it's like I can be my own banker, and I can hold the keys for my dollar account. And then in case anything goes wrong in Brazil and I have to leave Brazil, well, I don't have to transfer money. I have the money in my hands, in my control. And then the latest one, which is people, it's using a lot, is because more and more companies from overseas that export products to Brazil, they start to accept USDT. Now, in Brazil, there is a few merchants, a few e-commerces that I can order stuff and I can pay with USDT, and more and more and more. Yeah, there is Bitcoin too, but people they don't want to do it with Bitcoin. It's hard to send. It's too expensive. Takes a little while to do. So with the USDT is instant and it can be paid. So more and more companies are paying for to import this stuff. And also the amount of developers, and whoever, if you guys can see on the documentary from Tata, you're going to see a few guys talking about that. Developers that is working in Brazil, they are rather to receive in USDT than a wire transfer, or receive their salary in a different form of payment, because they understand they can work now for an overseas company and they can receive in USDT. Fast, easy, and cheap. So that's why I think that a lot of people are using USDT in Brazil, because that represents freedom.
In terms of Bitcoin and stablecoins, what's the regulatory environment in Brazil?
Well, for sure, a regulation will kick in straight away. And then the funny part is the first thing that the regulator says, the first one that they're going to regulate is stable coins. Because for them, that is the number one thing that is being used in Brazil. And of course, the regulators, they are looking into it to find a way to do a regulation. There is a hope, which I would say, who's responsible to regulate the stablecoin and the crypto market? It is the Brazilian central bank, which for the government itself, for all the institutions on the government, today I will say the Brazilian central bank is where we have the smartest guy working in the country. So even the actual president of the Brazilian Central Bank, which Roberto Campos Neto, he's leaving this year. But the guy did such a good job on the last 5 years that I think the team that is behind the regulation, it's very prepared to do a good regulation. So they are calling companies to ask the companies what they think. They are calling professionals. They are calling people to understand exactly how the regulation should go. And looks like till now is going to a good path. So saying they're going to start to regulating first, they're going to get a number of companies. They're going to start with exchange. After the exchange, they're going to go to another department, and then so on, so on, so on. So they already have the whole agenda prepared to do it. But the cool part being the stablecoin being the first one, we're going to give them some guidelines and which way to go to depends on the kind of different cryptocurrencies that they're going to do. And especially in our case, because they have no idea what to do with us, because we are not a fintech, we are not a payment company. We are a company who trade USDT to reais. So they have to figure out what they're going to do with us. But the good part is they are hearing us. They are asking questions. They are not saying it's going to be this way. So we know it's going to be a law. We know it's going to be regulated by the Brazilian Central Bank. We're just waiting for that regulation. And of course, everybody's worried about laundry money. Everybody's worried about a lot of crime can be done with cryptocurrencies. But till now, things are going in a very good path. I hope the new president for the Brazilian Central Bank, Guilherme Galípolo. I hope he can keep the same job as Campos Neto. And that is one very good important thing for people to understand that. In Brazil, the president of the Brazilian Central Bank has 5 years term, but the president of Brazil have 4 years term. Basically, these guys, we're going to say a little longer than the actual president, to not have any relation with the actual president of Brazil and the president of the central bank. The Brazilian central bank is completely independent from the actual president of Brazil, which is very, very good. And once the president was appointed by the president and approved by the senators, that means the guy now has a full thing to go to do. The president cannot fire him. The Minister of Economy cannot fire him. So he can do his job for the next 5 years. And then even if change the president, he will go again. So he cannot fire the guy. So the guy will have enough time to do what he needs to do. And who did that was the actual president, which was amazing that the Campos Neto did over there. But regulators, I think they are on the right path for the regulation in Brazil. We're just waiting.
What are you doing in the beaches of Florianopolis?
Well, people used to be the tech island because most of the tech companies is in Florianopolis. Is a nice island we call Floripa. It's a nice island in south of Brazil, and since we start to do things over there, I remember for the first time in 2022 when one of the big billboards on top of the building, it's a 4K LED, huge. We put it the Tether logo over there, and then we said, if you can pay with Pix, we can pay with Tether. And people start like, what is that? So then more and more people start to understand, and because there is a lot of foreigners living in Florianopolis and Floripa, Russians, Uruguayans, Argentinians, that is who are from England. So Floripa became like a crypto island because of them. It's not, okay, we are there, but it's not because of us, but because of these guys coming to Floripa. And then with our technology, you can go there, you can see a billboard at the airport. If you can pay with Pix, you can pay with USDT. You can see all over the whole city about it. So these people are feel so happy that they can go to a place and people can accept USDT. Hotels can accept USDT, but some hotels, they say, if it's a foreigner and the foreigner wants to pay with Pix, they just say, well, download Truther and then send USDT to our wallets, and they explain what USDT is. So I think Florianopolis became the Tether Island. We can say that.
What is Pix? And do you think this is slowing down Bitcoin and USDT or crypto adoption in Brazil?
Oh, Pix is a payment system made by the Brazilian Central Bank that was done on 2019. They started the tests on 2018. 2019 started to be used. In 2020, because the pandemic thing, it started to use more and more and more. The cool part is every single bank has to have Pix incorporated. The POS machine has to have Pix incorporated. So everybody is using Pix, and the numbers is so big, but so big. It's like Pix is doing more transactions than MasterCard and Visa together. So it's everyone is using that. How that works is every single bank has to provide this technology for free, cannot charge, at least individuals. They can charge companies now, but not individuals. So it's a free transaction. It's easy to use for the individual. He's going to read a QR code and do the payment. And there is a funny story on that. On the QR code thing. When Pix start the QR code thing and then do the payments on the QR code, a lot of users that was using Pix to do payments, when they saw some places accepting Bitcoin or USDT, that they saw the QR code, few people came to me and says like, oh, is this thing Bitcoin copying what Pix is doing? Not really. It's not Bitcoin copying what Pix is doing. Actually, the QR code's been there for a long time. I think it's more like Pix copying what Bitcoin was doing, right? So then people was like think that, but related to competition, actually, I think that makes it so easy now because enable us to build this bridge with USDT and Bitcoin. Because now the users say, oh, okay, if it's like this wallet address is almost the same as the Pix key. Oh, yeah, looks like, yes, it's just like that. The difference now is you have your Pix key, and for the Bitcoin wallet, you have your, you can say like your address for that one. And then for USDT, you have also your address. So I could say you have your address for Pix, and you have your address for Bitcoin, and you have your address for USDT. And because the way the Brazilian Central Bank Pix key works, because the Pix key can be my tax ID number, can be my mail, can be my mobile number, or can be a random key that they're going to give us, which is an address almost the same as a Bitcoin address or a USDT address. So people now started to see, oh, okay, it's almost the same. Yes, it's almost the same. So people are getting more and more and more related to that. And being a competition, I don't think so. I think one will be connected to another. One we're going to, let's say, add to another. But the cool thing is allowed not our company to do that, but also other companies is doing that to make it easy to the user to get into cryptocurrencies. A perfect example is Bitfinex. Bitfinex is not in Brazil. They are not based there, but they are using our technology right now. So Brazilian users can, from Bitfinex, can pay anything in Brazil through Pix. And it's the way they are doing the payment, it's exactly the same as they are doing a payment here on a POS on a Polygon, or USDT on Polygon, or USDT in any other, or Bitcoin Lightning. So it's exactly the same thing. Either read the QR code, put it there, done. We'll do the payment. It's straight from FastPay app. And now Brazilians also can send reais to our QR code, Pix QR code, will be converted straight to USDT and will arrive on Bitfinex. And it's the same way if I want to transfer USDT to Bitfinex. So basically what I think, one complement another, and we're going to give opportunity to more companies to do at the same ways as Bitfinex. It's not has to be just an exchange. Can be any other company that needs to do business with Brazil. They're gonna, I would say they're gonna complement each other. Then I think for sure they're gonna work.
Is this your first time in Lugano?
No, that's my third time, and I hope I can come here more and more and more. Even every year is a surprise. Well, it's good. This time I could use. Last year was a bit difficult. Most of the places that I tried to do was a little bit, they didn't know much. But this year, at least I tried to use it like 6 places, and all of them was okay. Well, despite the ones over here, because here it's easy. But outside in the city was quite easy and was quite simple to do.
Have you been to other Bitcoin circular economies?
Yes, El Salvador. There is a few countries in South America they kind of use a lot. Some places in Brazil also they kind of use a lot. But I think the main ones is here in El Salvador.
What is the main difference between Lugano and El Salvador?
I think Lugano, it's more spread where people use it, and I think the knowledge here it's more than, for example, El Salvador. In El Salvador, they do have the knowledge, but isn't like in a particular like small places such as in the beach. But over here, from where I could see, it's more people, it's more well educated, and it's all over the city. Everybody knows about it, which is different. Like even El Salvador we know is a legal tender, but it's not everybody that knows about it. For me, the difference is the education here. It's better than the other places.
What do you like the most of Lugano?
Well, the chocolate, number one. Number two, the view of the city. It's amazing. I just love it. And the organization also, it's something that, us from Brazil, we're not used to that.
What is your take on Tether's growth these past 10 years?
Wow, that was amazing, especially because I know Tether for all these 10 years. I know since the inception. And in the beginning was more like they trying to do something and then became this huge thing. And I remember in December 2021, when I spoke with Tata for the first time to do the project that we are doing in Brazil, I could see that we're going to change the world. It's going to change the way people use cryptocurrencies. And most important, I think Tata, it is the best, I'm not going to say competition, but I would say the best option for the normal payment system. So if we have to compete with MasterCard and Visa, the only cryptocurrency in the market today that it's able to do it's USDT, is Tether. So what the company is doing in other sectors, it's amazing, and especially helping people in countries such as Brazil, Argentina, Ecuador, Venezuela. So those third world country or emerging countries that they like to call has been just amazing, and I think it's just starting.